If you've ever watched any of my YouTube videos before, you'll probably be aware that I have some issues with my leg. Whether it was my transformation video where I went from being a normal, fit and healthy young lad to being crippled in hospital in agonizing pain, losing a load of weight and then managing to come back from that, defying the odds, being told I probably wasn't going to run again, being told I was going to have arthritis for life, whether it was that, whether it was the more recent video where I was doing my competition prep, where I suddenly became ill, couldn't walk, couldn't move, was rushed to hospital, spent weeks in hospital, underwent surgeries again.
I am going to step on that stage. I'm going to do it, even if it fucking kills me.
Before coming back again and winning my men's physique show. You'll probably be aware, if you follow me on YouTube or ever watched any of my videos, that there is something wrong with my leg. Let's take it back about 15 years ago. When I was 8, 9, 10 years old, around that age, I used to do a lot of stuff outside. I used to do a lot of biking. I used to do a lot of free running. I used to do a lot of surfing. I used to do a lot of things that resulted in me injuring myself. But one day I woke up and I had some weird pain in my leg. And I didn't know what it was. I had no idea where it came from. I didn't remember hurting myself. I didn't remember falling over. And this pain just persisted and it got worse and worse and worse and worse. I had pain in my hip, in my knee, and I couldn't remember what I did to it or how I'd done it. So this went on for a series of months, and this was accompanied by swelling in my leg that never went down. And over the course of a year, I was thrown around to numerous doctors, numerous specialists, and no one knew what it was until I was finally diagnosed with a condition known as lymphedema. Lymphedema, lymphedema. Lymph refers to lymphatic fluid and edema refers to swelling. So, long story short, and I'll go more into depth in a minute, this basically means that my leg is permanently swollen. I suffer from chronic swelling. It never goes down. It never looks normal. The symptoms include chronic swelling, so my leg is swollen all the time, increased risk of infections, aches and pains, skin growths, leaking of fluid, difficulties moving. All the lovely things that you want going on with your body when you are a young lad. But how did this happen? How did it occur? Well, let me take you back to biology class 101. You will see, well, you will know, I hope you know this anyway, that we have a cardiovascular system. Your cardiovascular system is basically the transport of your blood. It is all your blood vessels, your veins, your arteries, and it is involved in the transportation of blood, which is used to transport gases, hormones, nutrients, and enzymes around your body. It's also used for things such as thermoregulation, maintaining body temperature, osmoregulation, maintaining water, blood loss / clotting. So if you cut yourself, your blood stops you from bleeding more when platelets in your blood clot. And it also regulates pH, which is incredibly important for the workings of your body and the workings of your enzymes. Now, if you imagine almost a second set of blood vessels going throughout your body that don't transport blood, they transport something called lymphatic fluid, and that is the lymphatic system. So almost running adjacent or kind of running around the same areas, we have something called the lymphatic system, and this carries lymphatic fluid, which is like this clear liquid that goes all around your body. Your lymphatic system is involved in similar but different things to your cardiovascular system, because they are similar but they are different. Imagine like a second set of capillaries or blood vessels going around your body, but they're much smaller. So your lymphatic system is involved in your immune system, removal of metabolic waste, supplies nutrients around your body such as lipids, absorption of fat-soluble vitamins from a small intestine, and maintains the composition of tissue fluid throughout your body. What a tongue twister, goddamn. So then, your cardiovascular system plus your lymphatic system, that makes up your entire circulatory system. The lymphatic system is part of the circulatory system, and together they make up your circulatory system. So they both share similar functions, but they both also function differently and have their own key and crucial roles. The blood is primarily involved in the transportation of nutrients, whereas lymphatic fluid, also known as lymph, is primarily involved with the immune system and fighting off infection. So then, how does this lymph come to be? Why have you never heard of it? Where does it come from? What happens? You have a heart, or at least I hope you have a heart, and your heart pumps blood around the body. In fact, it pumps nutrient-rich blood around the body. So you want to get these nutrients to your cells, and the blood is the transport medium to do that. So your blood is pumped around your body by your heart and arteries, and then from arteries the blood will flow into smaller arteries, like subdivisions called arterioles. Parts of the blood leaves arterioles and becomes interstitial fluid, and this interstitial fluid is kind of like a fluid that sits around your cells that is filled with nutrients. So the fluid delivers nutrients and collects waste products from the cells. It's like a postman. It's giving the nutrients and it's picking up all the waste and picking up all the crap that the cells no longer need, so everything can function beautifully and smoothly. Once the interstitial fluid has delivered the nutrients to the cells and picked up all the metabolites and waste products, 90% of it then returns to the cardiovascular system. It goes back into the blood. The remaining 10% doesn't go into the blood. It forms fluid known as lymph, and this travels in the lymphatic system. So when there is damage to the system, you develop lymphedema. Lymphatic fluid becomes trapped, causing an edema or swelling when there is damage to these vessels. There are two types of lymphedema: primary lymphedema, which is caused by a congenital or hereditary cause, and secondary lymphedema, which is caused by an injury or disease. The doctors think that I have primary lymphedema, which has come about from a hereditary reason, either having some like malformed genes or something wrong with my genetics, but I kind of suspect that it may have been from an injury when I was younger, because I have damaged my groin several times in bike handlebars. So lymphedema in both types, primary and secondary, is simply an obstruction to lymphatic flow. So what does this mean? It means that you get a compromised immune system, so you're likely to get repeated infections. You've got a very weakened immune system. If I was to cut my leg, it means that I'm probably going to be in big trouble. I probably have to start antibiotics straight away. It means that you get chronic swelling, permanent swelling, which results in reduced mobility. I have very reduced mobility in my leg from numerous surgeries and not being able to move. Aching and heaviness in your leg as well. So you've got this aching pain that you can sometimes get if it's very swollen. You can feel the swelling. It's heavy. You can get hardened and tight skin as well, as your leg is permanently swollen. Your skin's obviously going to be tighter. You can get skin growth. You can get weird growths happening in your skin, like the elephant man. You can get fluid leaking from your leg if you were to cut it, because this obviously it's under more pressure, so it's trying to escape. So you can get leaky fluid and other nasty things going on. It is incurable and lifelong. Cue the world's smallest violin for me. There is nothing you can do about it, and it normally gets worse throughout your life. But I believe that you can kind of bypass that if you take very good care of yourself. There are a few very, very rare cases, more common in people with secondary lymphedema from breast cancer surgery, where you can get microsurgery and they actually bypass the lymphatic vessels by, I think it's putting new ones in, but my leg was too far gone for that, and it isn't common practice either. It can be reversed as well if it's caused from things such as obesity. So if you're really obese, if you're really fat, the actual fat can squash the lymphatic system and actually cause an obstruction from just merely squeezing it. And if you haven't been obese for too long, you might be able to reverse the damage, you might be able to recover from it, you might be able to repair it, as far as I understand. Don't take my word for that though, but don't be fat. That's the moral of the story. Get unfat. Go on a diet. All right then, how does it affect my life? How does it affect me? And you might see me going about my day-to-day work, day-to-day life and thinking, oh, he's fine, it doesn't really affect him. But it affects my life every single day, every waking moment, every night, even in my sleep, it affects my life. And it's kind of constantly in the back of my head, but I find that humans are very resilient. I'm not special. I'm not a special snowflake. I'm not some like special, like, look at me, I'm so brave, I'm so heroic, because I'm not at all. I'm merely playing the cards that I've been dealt. And if you know anyone that has a lifelong condition or someone that lives with something, we as humans are very good at adapting to it. We adapt to our environments, we adapt to what we have, and we learn to get on with it, and we learn to live with it. So don't feel sorry for me, or don't be crying for me of all these things that I cannot do, because like, it's just my reality. So then, how does it affect my life? Well, I can't stand up for long periods of time. I can't get a job where I'm on my feet for a long period of time. When I was younger, obviously a lot of jobs that you do are working in a supermarket or bar work or manual laboring or things like that. And I found that it would just really, really, really negatively affect my leg. Like I remember going to, I used to do work in a kitchen being KP, so chopping vegetables, doing the washing up. And at the end of the day, my leg was literally like a tree trunk, man. And I remember as well, I've always wanted to work in the film industry when I was younger. And I managed to do it, and I finally got into the film industry on this big film, this big series, and I was so excited. I did my first day of work, 16 hours on my feet, got home, looked at my leg, and it was absolutely gone. And I just remember bursting into tears and just crying my eyes out, because it was like my dream had been completely smashed, because I knew that I couldn't do it. One day on my feet and my leg was absolutely trash. That's not to say that like all hope is lost, but there are certain things that I can and cannot do. Like I find medicine really interesting. I could never do medicine, or it's very unlikely that I could do medicine because of the long hours on my feet. It's probably not a viable option. I also would have liked to join the military. It's another thing that's always interested me, and I wouldn't be able to get past the medical with that either. So I've got to be very careful about what jobs I do in terms of how much time I'm spending on my feet and how much rest that I have, which is probably one of the reasons why I'm here making this video right now, because I'm like, all right, you got to get your shit together. You've got to actually build something that you can do. You've got to be able to work with your own back, be your own boss, and realize that you can't do all these jobs just to get like a little bit of pocket money. So I can't stand up for long periods of time, which is an issue if I'm standing in a queue, like queuing. I notice my leg swells. If I'm stood stationary for a long period of time, that's what absolutely kills it. I can't walk around barefoot. That's another thing. Like you might think, it's not the end of the world, but I used to walk everywhere barefoot as a kid, man. Like if you're on the beach and you take your shoes off, I can't take my shoes off on the beach. I can't really take my shoes off, period. Anyway, to be honest, just in case I get like an infection, or even like things like verrucas and other like common viruses that are found throughout the environment, I'm at risk of them being a big issue and like spreading on my leg because I have a very poor immune system. I'm prone to infections, which means that I'm prone to death if you get an infection in your leg. Another thing that I need is 24/7 compression. Every single day I wear one of these tights on my leg, and this is basically a tight, or just like a really, really thick hosiery or tight, and it can be very uncomfortable. They come in different thicknesses. They can cut the circulation off your leg if you sit in the wrong way, you wear one that's too thick. I actually think it might have given me a deep vein thrombosis a while back, but I have to wear one of those every single day. And if I didn't wear it for a day, the next day I'd be crippled. My leg would be disgustingly swollen. I need to sleep my legs elevated every single night. Probably for the last 15 years of my life, I've slept with a leg up on the pillows. You might have seen them in the background of my video, but that's why there's always pillows on my bed. It's not like some screwing pillow. It is a pillow because I have to sleep my leg wherever I go every single night up in the air to let the fluid drain out of my leg. Even if I'm camping, I'll just have to use like a rucksack. If I go to a hotel and they haven't got many pillows, I'll just have to sleep with no pillows and use them under my leg instead. And yeah, every single night I have to sleep with it elevated, raising it and putting it up. Reduced mobility is another one. It's kind of indirect, but where I've had the surgeries, where I've had the cartilage damage to my leg, the bacteria can literally like destroy cartilage. Where I've had that, where I haven't been able to bend my leg for like months at a time, it's basically been locked in place before. It's horrendous. I've got reduced mobility and damage to that. So then, management, what do? Elevate it, like I said, compress it every single day, and moisturize it as well, and massage. Those are the main things that I do, but there are a couple of other things as well that I've started implementing recently. So, diet. As you guys noticed, there's this thing called lockdown, coronavirus is going on, where the world has gone to shit. Normally I'd diet down, normally I'd do a competition, normally I'd diet in the summer and probably lose my weight fluctuates about 20 pounds, summer and winter, or it has done. I'd diet down for festivals to look good in the summer with my shirt off, and then just kind of bulk up in the winter and do this like cycle of weight loss and weight gain. But this year my leg has been really, really quite swollen. It's been quite bad, and I couldn't work out why my leg had been so swollen, like a lot worse than usual. But then I stumbled across some articles and some other things relating to a different subject I was researching. I thought it might be to do with my diet as well. So anti-inflammatory diets, there's not really a lot of research to back it up, but I think it's kind of a good thing to follow the general premise of it. But the research is sketchy and like very, very lacking. But something that I do see the science behind is controlling your fat intake. And like I said earlier about my leg being significantly worse in the last year, I originally thought it was to do with my increased weight, but my weight was increased because my diet was worse. My diet was worse, which resulted in me getting more unhealthy sources of fats. Your lymphatic system is also involved in the transport of fats. So long-chain triglycerides are transported by your lymphatic system. You can group fats into short-chain, medium-chain triglycerides, and long-chain triglycerides as well. It's just a way of categorizing fats. Your lymphatic system is involved in the transport of long-chain triglyceride fats. So when you eat fats of the small intestine, you're around that area, you're going to be absorbing these long-chain triglycerides into the lymphatics, or into the lymph fluid that's around your small intestine. So if you're eating large amounts of long-chain triglycerides, you're going to be absorbing a large amount of those fats into your lymphatic system, which is going to make it a bit sluggish. It means it's going to have to carry a greater load. It's going to put it under more pressure. So I got researching, and I actually found out that there is literature on the effects of eating medium-chain triglycerides versus long-chain triglycerides. Unfortunately for you, or for me, the majority of fats, 99.99999, are long-chain. A very few percentage of fats are medium chain triglycerides. So there's research that shows that people suffering from lymphedema, it's not the best studies in the world. They're not molecular evidence. It's not looking at like actual molecules and actual cell on the cellular level. It's purely looking at case studies. There's been research done on people that show that two people with lymphedema, one person put on a medium chain triglyceride diet, MCT diet, one put on an MCT diet, and a calorie restrictive diet. The person just on the MCT diet, so they wouldn't gain weight, they wouldn't lose weight, just a normal diet in terms of just changing the composition of their fats, their lymphedema leg or lymphedema arm significantly reduced in size. Like they lost a good amount of size, a good amount of swelling from doing nothing more than changing the types of fat that they ate. The person, on the other hand, that had the MCT diet and they lost weight, they had an even bigger improvement. But it just goes to show that maybe there's some premise behind what types of fats that you are eating. Other things that I do to manage my condition is exercise, incredibly important. Muscle pump action. Your muscles moving are actually going to pump the lymphatic system out. So make sure you train your affected body part. Swimming is really, really good as well. Honestly, when I was younger, like it was like I didn't even have lymphedema. It was like a miracle. And I put that solely down to the amount of swimming I used to do. Every day I was in the sea. Every day I was finning with fins on my legs, which was pumping all that fluid away. Muscle pump action. You haven't got the effect of gravity on your leg as well. And it worked absolutely wonders. Other ways of managing it: hydration, more fluid in your lymphatic system. More hydrated you are, the more freely it's going to flow, the less like gunky it's going to get, the more, viscous it's going to be. Management, lymphatic massage, manual lymphatic drainage, but I found it, I've never had it, it's so expensive, you need it like every single week. As an alternative, what I did was I contacted this company called Reboots, super cool, who make these products, these pumps for triathletes and people that are involved in exercise, people that want quick recovery, bodybuilders, professional athletes, sprinters, triathletes, you name it, people that are using their legs. What it basically does is it assists in the movement of lymph fluid throughout your leg, so that it's like an air pump that tightens up and it squeezes and creates like a difference in partial pressure in the lymphatic system, which aids the metabolites to leave your legs or to leave the region that's been trained. So these are made for speeding up recovery. So a big shout out to Reboots for kind of sponsoring this video and gifting them to me. I would have made this video anyway, but super cool of them, super generous of them, and it is something that I cannot wait to use to actually manage my condition, because I had some cheaper ones on Amazon and they just weren't as good. If you got lymphedema or not, if you got lymphedema, it aids in the assistance of moving this lymphatic fluid out of your leg. Just be careful, don't put it on too tight, or you actually might damage your lymphatic system if you are prone or susceptible because you have lymphedema. Put it on the low settings, it's still going to be doing something. It actually massages the lymphatic fluid filled with these metabolites, filled with this like this stagnant water in a sense out of your leg if you've got lymphedema. But if you don't have it as well, this product is primarily designed for athletes, people that want to recover faster, because it's going to aid in your recovery. But I'll put a link in the bio down below for that one. Supplements, I can make a whole video on supplements, so I'm just going to go over these really quickly. I take a butcher's broom, bioflavonoids, citrus bioflavonoids, and rutin. Those are the main supplements that I take for my leg. And I also take a little bit of selenium. I don't take it all the time though, because it can be bad, in having too much of a good thing is a bad thing. So I take a little bit every now and then when I kind of like feel like taking it. But anyway, main thing is don't lose hope. If you've got this, don't lose hope. If you know someone that's got this, do not lose hope. Like, do everything you can to rule out all the possible other diagnoses. Like if you're in India, if you're in regions that are south of the equator, there's something that's called filariasis, which is a common cause of lymphedema or swelling in the limbs, which is a parasitic mosquito-borne infection. So just make sure that you get all the other things ruled out before the doctor says, oh yeah, it's lymphedema. Make sure you look at, you know the underlying root causes. You've had all the tests to make sure that it is just lymphedema and there's nothing you can do about it. Tuberculosis peritonitis is another one that can cause lymphedema. So just make sure that you actually look and get all the proper tests done if you've got a swollen limb or whatever it is. And even if you do have lymphedema and it's primary and there's nothing they can do about it and they can't do any surgery, tough shit, life goes on. You know, it's not the worst thing that can happen to you. You can have a completely normal life. And for me, I wouldn't be sat here right now if I didn't have lymphedema. Like, I guarantee you, I would not be sat here. I'd be doing something else. Like, whatever it is, it might be worse, it might be better, who knows. But the hand I've been dealt, I've played, and everyone goes through these obstacles, everyone has these issues, everyone has these problems, everyone has obstacles and adversity that they will face in their life. At some time or another, everyone will face these issues, whether it's emotional, whether it's physical, whether it's the loss of a loved one, whatever it is, we will all have problems. And it's just about fucking overcoming it, putting your head down, looking at all the things that you do have, looking at what you can do, and actually using this negative situation, reframing it, and creating something positive out of it. Like, I wouldn't have such strong willpower. I wouldn't have such a burning desire to win. I wouldn't have such a desire to say, fuck the odds, and actually do something and pursue what I want to do. I would not have that mentality. I would not be sat here right now with the confidence and be able to speak to a camera if I didn't have these issues and didn't have these roadblocks and these speed bumps in my life. And one of the bigger ones is my lymphedema in my leg, but it is what it is. And if it comes to it and I have to get my leg lopped off, so be it. It's a problem that my future self will deal with. But that was a bit of an insight into my condition, lymphedema. Let me know if you like this video, and I can make some other ones and other things which I find quite interesting, because as I said, I do love medicine. I find it fascinating. I find it really interesting. I do love the way that the human body works. My name's Mo Samuels, and that was the lowdown on what's wrong with my leg, lymphedema, and I hope it gave you a bit more of an insight into what I do every single day. Peace out. I love you to bits. Thank you. Subscribe if you don't already. Good night.